Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Story That Built Her. This is a show where we go beyond the highlight reel. We get to the real, raw, powerful stories. And I am thrilled to have Alexandria. Am I saying your name right, Alexandria?
Yes, it's Alexandria.
Because, back before we hit live, I was like telling Derek, oh, I've got to go interview Alejandra.
Alejandra. Alejandra. I love it. I'm here for it.
So we know that behind every brand and business and book, there's an amazing story, and we're here to tell it. So welcome, Alexandria.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I was so excited when you invited me because we've been Facebook flirting for a while now. Online, commenting on each other's, Facebook posts and just celebrating one another and giggling together, even though I think you're in Canada, right?
No, oh no. I'm in Colorado. Don't
You're in Colorado. Why did I think you were in Canada? Probably because I saw it snowing.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, there's no snow anywhere except for Canada. And I'm all the way in Scotland. So it's really fun that we've been able to kind of go back and forth in these completely different sides of the world.
See, I didn't know you were in Scotland.
Yeah. I moved to Scotland in June. I packed everything. I sold everything. And I was like, Scotland is my home. So this is where I'm meant to be.
I like it. I've done that. I've packed everything and moved. So we have a lot to talk about. And obviously, we're going to hear your story and how you got to Scotland and how you got into what you do in your business and all of those things. This is what I want. I'm not going to ease us in. We're just going to go to the deep end and then we can work backwards maybe. So what I'm curious about is if you were to look at your life, what would you say is like that moment, that story, that event where it was like, oh, that's the thing that made me, but it also might have been the thing that broke you? Like it was a defining moment.
I would say there's two. There's two. The first one, thank you for asking this question. The first one was probably, it's so interesting because we move through all of these things in our lives and we're like some of them are like fucking severe. Are we allowed to swear on here? I'm so sorry. Okay. So some of them are like fucking severe, like so difficult and so challenging. But it's so funny because it's like that actually that wasn't the moment. That wasn't the moment where everything changed. That was a moment, but that wasn't the moment that changed it all. So the moment that really got me into everything that I'm into now and began kind of this journey of personal development and self-development and leadership was, oh my goodness, I've aged. I'm like, how old was I? Was about, I think I was 23 or 24. And I had just moved through this breakup. And after we had broken up and I was like certainly struggling, I was drinking and my heart, like it was just such an unhealthy relationship. And that's not particularly on him. And it's not particularly on me. It was just an unhealthy relationship and we weren't correct for one another. And he was a reflection of me at that time. And I had met this girl. I was serving at the time. I was working 60 hours a week, serving at 2 different places. And I had met this girl that was a coach and she was serving at the same place as me. And I'm just going to be like, we're off script here, everyone.
Yeah, so I already left the script.
The real here. So she invited me to her place. She was like, do you want to come over to my place, like, and have some wine? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, let's get together. Let's have some wine. So we go to her place. This girl whips out mushrooms and she's like, do you want just like a couple? And I'm like, okay, why not? Like, sure. So I have a couple of mushrooms and we're chatting and all of a sudden I find myself in tears and I'm realizing, I'm like, holy shit, fuckery, fuck. Like, this is not the issues that I had with this person. That was not on him. That was on me. This was a result of the choices that I have made. This is a reflection of how I see myself, how I experience myself, how I perceive the world around me and the beliefs I have. And I she explained to me the concept of mirroring, and I had to sit with it. And I was like, okay, this person lied to me. Where am I lying to myself? Well, I stayed in a relationship that I was not happy in, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't want kids. Like, yes, I want, like, for me in my life, like, I wanted kids, and I was compromising and settling. And then, I sat with another thing. Okay, he treats me horribly. Like, he was treating me horribly. He was calling me obnoxious. Like, there was all of these things. Okay, where am I? Where am I treating myself like that? Where am I believing that that's what I deserve? And that was so pivotal for me. And from that point on, it was just like, okay, radical self-responsibility. I can't blame anybody outside of me for anything that happens anymore. I am the creator of my life. I choose how to move. I choose how to respond, even when things happen. And this is what I mean. I feel like you've kind of watched me through my Facebook journey, I'm sure. And like, I lost my brother 9 years ago, and you'd think that that would be the pivotal moment, but it wasn't. But I chose how to respond to his passing. I chose how to respond to all of these different things in my life. And that was really the beginning of me taking my power back from no one that took it, because I chose to give it. So I would say that was the moment. And then everything kind of just fell into place. And I started doing all of these different courses. And I mean, how it goes. You're like, oh my goodness, I want to know more. I want to understand myself more. And like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now I certify people in human design. And now like how did we get here? But it's that's what I would say is like the most pivotal moment for me. And then I have another one if you want to hear it.
Well, this is, I do want to hear it. And I want to say this about this one. I think that opportunity that you had to say, I'm going to take responsibility for everything, that was huge, because I think even there's many people who have a similar experience that don't walk out with a similar decision. So I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think I just got to a point where I was like, I'm the miracle. My life is the miracle. I make the choices. Like, this is the most incredible thing about being human, is that you have the power of choice. Like, that is incredible. And I'm out here blaming people for things that are going wrong in my life when it's a culmination of my own choices.
Man, and when you know that, what can you not do? Because that's the real ticket. Yeah.
That's the real ticket. That's the real ticket, because, and I talk about this all of the time, like, when you have this unshakable power in yourself, and not even confidence, just unshakable power in yourself, and knowing that, like, I'm the one that creates my reality. I'm the one that chooses how valuable I am. I'm the one that makes all of this happen. You can't, not only can you not blame anybody outside of you, but you're no longer seeking validation outside of you. You're no longer asking, are you gonna accept me? Am I enough for you? Am I worthy? Is it? No, I am. That's it. So it is the most powerful thing that you can do, is take responsibility. I think that's like probably the first step, and the scariest step for literally everyone. Because if I can't blame other people, what does that mean for me? That means that I made all of these mistakes, and like, what do I do?
That's the thing. And like you talked about power. I mean, when you hold the power, when you know how powerful you are, that's a similar thing, right? It's either incredibly like, wow, this is liberation, this is freedom, this is choice, this is forward momentum, or it's, ooh, I'm afraid of that power now. I have to ask you, what's your human design?
I have to ask you, what's your human design? I'm like, she's so spicy. Is she line 5? I want to know.
Of course I am.
Like, when you were talking about polarity, I was like, she's got to be a line 5.
You nailed it. Yep, I'm a 5-1.
I was gonna say 5'1" because I could tell like just the teaching comes so naturally to you as well, and sharing your values like that. I feel like that's such a big part of at least my experience um of your posts and your content and the things that you share. And I have to say, I love going to your Facebook. It's like such a masterpiece. I'm always like, oh, it's the Monique show. I'm so excited. Like, what's gonna happen today? Like, it's always so spicy and fun, and like, it's art. It is art.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now you. What's your human design?
What am I? I am darling. As I almost like lose a breath, let's bring this up here. So I'm a 1-3. So I'm an investigating martyr. So it's been such an interesting time with this 3 line, right? Like throughout my life, like, you know, the 3 is very much like the adventure, the I'm just going to do the thing. And if anybody here is watching and you don't know human design, this line 3, the best way I can describe it is when you're a kid and you go to your parents and you ask your parents, hey, can I do this? And they're like, no. And you're like, why? And they're like, because I said so. And you're like, that doesn't work for me. No, you have to experience it yourself. So this has been me. I have made all of the quote unquote mistakes in my business. In like, I'll see line 5 people with their business. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. There's no way I would have. I would have gotten like, I'm just like, they did that so seamlessly. And I'm just like kind of like clunky a little bit. There's like clunkiness that happens because I have to try it in order to know, okay, nope, this actually doesn't work for me, you know, or no, this is not the way for me, or yes, like, you know, does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So my first son is the same as you, and the trial and error is so valuable for you, correct? It's like you don't know it until you've tried it, and then you gather the data. You don't know it because somebody told you they know it. You don't know it because you heard about it. You know because you did it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like literally, like I'm a manifesting generator. So like when someone says like, this is just how you do it, I'm like what? Yeah. That's so gross to me. I'm like, no, I need to do it. It's so important.
Well, and what I love about line 3s is because you have to do it, you'll roll your sleeves up and you'll get your hands in it and you'll get messy with it. You're not theoretical, which I love, because I think that's one of the things that is actually hardest in business is when people stay in the theory and they stay in the head knowledge, the book knowledge, not the MBA. It's the hardest because you have to go try and experiment, because this could technically work and this could technically work, but you don't know what's going to work for you until you go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do find that like within this industry that both of us are in, a lot of it is cerebral, you know, and like the work that I do, the approach that I take, you know, I don't know who's watching this and who knows what, but for myself, I always move. How to explain this? I believe that we've really brought this masculine leader forward, which is this logical and this physical, and we've mastered the shit out of that. But we are in a space where we're bringing this feminine leader forward as well. And I believe that each of us have an internal feminine leader and an internal masculine leader. We've covered the internal masculine leader, but this feminine leader is the energetics, the emotional, right? The emotional side, the intelligence, the faith, the belief, like that's the feminine. And this is something that we're really trying to master now, because, you know, throughout history, we've mastered this masculine side of leadership. We've mastered like, okay, well, we'll talk, we'll teach, we'll physically get you there. Okay, but we need this other side. And I believe that this is why so many, and I'm sure you've seen it a lot. And I know I just heard you say, you're like, I don't burn out. And I'm like, that's fucking beautiful. I love that for you. And also I've seen so many women within our industry burn out or get burned because there is a lack of emotional intelligence and a lack of self leadership, at least in this feminine way.
I think it's true. So this is how I think of the feminine. It's a lot more subtle and there's a lot more nuance.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't find the nuances for what works for you, it's not in the necessarily the big things, because I think that's where the masculine is like, to go from point A to point B, you do this, right? It's really looking at the like what word did you just use at the beginning? It's more subtle than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cerebral. That's what you said. It's a
Yeah.
feeling. It's a knowing. Go a little more to the left. Nope, don't do there. Go there. And that's what we're not diminishing anymore. We're listening to that equally. I would say, like, that's just
Equally, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and beginning to really, I think, appreciate the fact that we create, like, at least from the way that I see things, is like we've mastered that masculine, and also, we
I
just
forgot to
changed
turn
the
my
back.
background on, and my
Oh,
husband's
that's so I was like, ooh, what a little surprise. I like it. I'm so here for it. But and you know what? It's so funny because I feel like this relates to what I was just about to say, is that, you know, you just turned on this background, and this is exactly what the feminine is, right? The feminine is this energetic landscape that we get to create. So the more aware you are of the energetic landscape that you're creating for people to come into, um, the the more you're going to see how people respond differently as you shift your energetic landscape. So to
true.
me, that's the subtlety, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what's the second defining moment?
Okay, let me have a quick little sip of
Yeah, yeah.
my ginger tea here.
We're gonna take a 15-second commercial for her to have a sip of her ginger tea. Just kidding.
I'm like, please sing to me as I drink.
Oh, I like that you have ginger. I had ginger yesterday. I'm having dandelion today.
Oh, meow. Dandelion. That's very fancy. I'm ginger, honey, and lemon right now because I had the flu for a week and a half. So today I ate real food and I was like so excited.
Yeah, that's a big move forward when
gosh.
you've been sick.
Yeah, literally, I was like, this is Flavor Town. Like, I was so excited because I was finally explosion of flavors in my mouth. I'm so excited. Okay, so the second thing that happened that I would say was like the big, where it was like, what just happened? Like, this could have broken me, and it's broken a lot of people. And I think it's interesting because it's something that I'm so glad that I actually caught a little bit of your live today. It's something that you talked a little bit about on your live today as well. So I want to say it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2 years ago. I was living in Ottawa, Ontario. And I had been moving through this, personal development stuff. I did my 200-hour yoga teacher certification, then my 300-hour, and then I got my human design certification, and then I kind of like started dabbling in coaching and really just like working on myself. And I got to that space where I was like, yeah, I really just don't. I'm ridding myself of this victim consciousness as much as I can, and I don't want to be a victim of my life anymore. Like this is not what I desire. And I had realized that there were a few people in my life that were still deeply, deeply in this. And as you know, there's exposure effect, right? There's exposure effect. So when you are around certain people, you're going to take on some of their behaviors if you're around them all of the time. Like, this is literally exposure effect, right?
I mean, why do we tell kids that they have to pick their friends wisely? It happens with kids, happens with adults.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I had to really like face the fact that there were still people in my life that were deeply, deeply in this victim mentality. And that's okay. That's where they're at. It's not my job to change it for them. That's something they have to decide and choose on their own. And they were in these relationships. There were specifically two people that were in these relationships, and they were like, this guy's horrible, he does this, and just complaining all the time, but staying in the relationship. And I'm like, I'm not available for this anymore. I'm not available for this, and this is not a reflection of who I want to become. And I want to be in rooms around people that have qualities of who I'm working towards being and becoming. And I had let those people go. And a year later, it was like the craziest thing. A year later, I remember this. I received a message from a friend, and I woke up and I was kind of like, what's happening? Blinking my eyes open. And I look at this message, and my friend goes, this person posted about you, just so you know, in case you want to see this. And I see it, and my heart dropped in my stomach. My heart dropped in my stomach. I had never felt so betrayed, so betrayed, honestly. That's what it was. And I was like, what is happening? And it turns out that these two people that I let go of the year before had gotten together. I was friends with both of them. I was the godmother of one of their children. Could I have handled the kind of like quote unquote breakup better? Absolutely. I didn't have the self-leadership at the time to have a conversation with them. I didn't have the power at the time to hold that conversation. So I just kind of like drifted. Is that on me? Could I have done better? Yes, absolutely. And also, there essentially what ended up happening was a smear campaign was created about me, that I was racist, and that I was like telling people at my retreats to make fun of Inuit people and to put like fake tattoos on their face. Like none of this happened, by the way, but they plastered my face in all of these different Facebook groups saying she's racist, she's a cunt, she's a culture vulture, she's all of these things. And I was getting message and the message and the message and the message and the message from all of these different people that I had never met in my life, messaging me and saying like just the worst things that you could say to a human being. It's insane. And it was so interesting. I think you said this today, like people are looking for a reason to be offended, literally looking for a reason to be offended. And that's exactly what was happening. Like they were looking for reasons to be offended. One of the things that they said that they were angry at me for was for creating and using a cedar wand, and how that was so racist of me. Like it was just like the things, it just like kept piling and piling. And essentially I went and I got like I don't think I could get pepper spray. I think I got bear spray because I was like, this was 2 years ago when shit was really hitting the fan. This was like kind of like right around the time, or like maybe I think it was like a year after like Black Lives Matter movement was really big, and people were just like people were woke. Okay, everybody's like, I'm woke. So this happened, and it was insane. I ended up having to move back in with my parents because I was no longer safe in the city that I was living in anymore.
Holy cow.
So I went, it was crazy. This happened. I was home for 2 days and I was like, I'm not okay. Like my nervous system is so dysregulated. I went home to my parents, and I there were a few moments where it was just like, whoa. One of these moments was I was at a family dinner and I had to leave the family dinner, and I just started having a panic attack, like because I got more messages and I had to block each person. My family came in and they're like, are you okay? And I just was bawling, and I was like, I am not okay. I can't, I need help. I need your help. I need your support. Like emotionally, I need your support. I know I'm the one that doesn't tip, but I need it now. And I would say after a few weeks, I really got myself together again. And it was crazy. At this point, I was making like $2,000 to $3,000 in my business a month. And that was like cash and sales. Like that was cash and sales. And then I just quantum leapt. And I went from 2 to 3K. And then I went to, 5K. And then I went to 10K. And then I went to 15K. And then I went to 17K cash. And what I had realized was that I was still so afraid of fully expressing myself to the world around me, because I felt responsible for other people's trauma, for other people's responses, for other people's reactions to me speaking my truth. And
Okay.
that was the other pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, I should say so. Oh, there's so much to talk about here. So much to talk about here. And this is something that this is a core belief for me, is that because people are not fully self-expressed, usually women, mainly I work with women, when they're not fully self-expressed, that results in so many things. The consequences of that are dramatic. And I think most people have just got accustomed to sort of holding back and tempering themselves and censoring themselves and finding a way to kind of tiptoe around every single tulip until they don't realize that there's nothing substantial left there, and that's impacting their business. It's impacting the way that they feel. Yeah, so I have something to say about this because I've been through plenty of these now. So I find the mob mentality very interesting. And um, God, what year was that? It was 2019. So it was December 2019, and this is when I experienced the first mob. Before that, it was individuals. Okay, so it was an individual attack or individual nasty comment or private message. But in 2019 was the first time that a woman decided that her coming to me or doing a post on social media, that wasn't enough. She needed to gather the troops in order to stand against me. And this is what I'm going to say for you and anyone who's watching now or watches later. If the mob is formed against you, this is what I can tell you for sure. Number one, they didn't feel powerful in and of themselves. Because if you feel powerful and if you feel like, hey, I'm going to go talk to you because something you did didn't sit well with me, let's talk it out, let's figure this out. So they didn't feel powerful. They also weren't looking for a solution. Because if somebody's looking for a solution, they can go to an individual and they can have a conversation and they can come to a conclusion, they can come to a new agreement. So they're not powerful. They don't want a solution. What they want to do is take you out. And I say this about certain people. Certain people, they're just trolls that literally that's all they do all day is they just go disagree with people.
That's like their identity. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just
That's how they get validation.
It's how they get they're contrarians, they're whatever they're doing, right?
Live your life, baby.
Live your life, do your thing. But then there's people who really and truly want to take other people down and out for good.
Yeah.
And so what I will say about if anyone has gathered a mob against you, what I am certain of is that you have big things to do.
Yeah.
Because they sense it, they know it.
Oh yeah. They feel the power.
They feel the power. They feel the power, and they lack power, and they lack influence. And so then they go gather everyone in order to try to create that. And I have learned when the mob gets involved, the accusations, the things that they bring forward, they are so far out of left field. They are so crazy. They're so where you go, where did you get that?
Literally.
Like, back to the mushrooms, what are you smoking? Because it's like it's not an actual thing. It's not based on reality. So, I'm sorry you went through it because it is hard to go through that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was really hard. My nervous system was just like, what the what's happening? But I think like it was also such an incredible moment for me as well because it showed me just how influential I am, like you said, and also how powerful I am. Like we talked about this. I had the power of choice. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything back to any of these people. I didn't say anything cruel, anything mean. I didn't call them evil. I had people around me being like, these people are evil, like da 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 da. I'm like, I'm not responding in this way. I get to choose to respond with love because that is who I am. That's a choice that I get to make. I can't control this situation, but I can choose how I respond to it. And that was such a powerful moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is in that moment, you have to decide, how am I going to respond? What am I going to do? And it's the truth. You figure out what is inside of you. You dig deep. And I also think when you go through something like that, you access more of yourself because you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love that you asked for support, that you went to your family and said, I need this kind of support right now, because this is something most people, they literally don't know how to ask for support. They don't even know how to ask for something simple like, hey, could you move the towels from the washer to the dryer,
So true.
and they just kind of huff around their house all pissed off because nobody helps me around here. You know what I mean? It's amazing how hard to ask for support.
Yeah. I mean, I had to. I think like the life that I had lived up until that point, asking for support wasn't a thing because I didn't really know how to receive. It was something I struggled with for a very long time. And I've talked about this on my Facebook, on my social media a lot of the time, because I struggled with receiving because I always thought I had to give something back in return, because that's what we've been taught. You always have to give somebody something back, whether it's validation, whether it's recognition, whether it's an actual physical thing. And at this point, I had just realized like I have nothing back. I have nothing to give back to you in return right now. But what I do need is I need to receive support. I need to receive love. I need to be held through this, because this is, at the time, it feels like the scariest time in your life. Now to me, I'm like, ha 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 ha, like come back, like I'm here, I'm ready, I'm unshakable, But at that point, I was like, how do I get through this? Like, is there a light after this? Like, how
That's it exactly. When you're going through it, it feels like the end. It feels like all is lost. It feels so huge. You're reminding me of a situation when we moved from the U.S. to Mexico when my boys were first born. I had to go from like a local business to an online business, right? And so I had this whole community in Tucson. It's where Derek and I met. It's where I had my second son. And I loved Tucson, and I felt like I had such a circle there, and we had lots of clients there. And as soon as I announced that we were going to move to Mexico and all of our meetings were going to be switched from, in person to Zoom, oh, that just pissed them right off, right? And most of my clients were, older clients, and they were like, you don't get to travel, like you have to wait till you retire, and da 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 da. And they just got super offended. And there was a guy, I want to give him a couple seconds of credit here, Eddie Ariola. He decided to write a blog post and spread it everywhere into all the Tucson community and on Facebook and everywhere he could post it, right? Talking about, he called me a charlatan and said, you can't trust her. She's doing business online. She wants to meet us on Zoom. I mean, when I look back now, it's so ridiculous, right? It's sort of like a bless your heart moment.
This was his claim to fame.
Right? And at the time, like we just landed in Mexico, and same thing though. Someone sends me this thing and I'm like, oh, and it felt so huge. Like Eddie was going to take me out, like this little man of a guy, poor thing. He probably has a little peeper. Like I really believe like this is going to matter. Like this matters, And now I look back and I'm like, but I have to say too, he never went away. In fact, this was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I was featured in Forbes, and he goes,
"Ooh, get it."
He goes on the Forbes article, and he leaves a comment, and he links back to his original blog post article. This is 8 years after the fact. I think he has an alert with my name. Yeah. So what I do want to say this: if you're in the thick of it right now, I don't want to make light of it because it is shitty when it happens.
It's awful.
To you, right?
Yeah.
It's the worst. Like nothing's worse than waking up and a friend goes, hey, just want you to know, like, this is what they're saying about you.
Your face is everywhere.
They're plastering you everywhere. But this is what I want you to know. They don't win. It doesn't matter that much. You will get through it. The best days are not behind you. This is not the end, because it definitely feels that way. And I think that had I known someone who went through a similar thing, who, when you get slandered online and public and all this stuff, if you know someone who's went through it and they go, oh, listen, it sucks now, but honestly, like no one can take you out. The only person who can take you out, yourself.
Absolutely.
When you have somebody who can tell you that, it helps so much. And so if anyone gets anything out of this, like let that be the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
one of the things that, I actually had a podcast during this time as well. And I had this wonderful human being. For the life of me, I can't remember her name in this moment, but I swear she was wonderful. She had also gone through, and it's so funny because she was in like the quote unquote spiritual community. She had gone through this smear campaign with a yoga, company that she was working with, that she left, and she started her own company. And she had been moving through it for like a couple of years. And one of the things that she said to me that just honestly, like, just changed the game for me was, and some people are going to listen to this and they're like, word salad. And then other people are going to be like, wow, Alex, I really feel that. I agree. So one of the things that she said to me was, it's the villains in our lives that are the souls that love us the most, because they're the ones that chose to give up our love that is so extraordinary, so life-changing, so incredible, in order for us to learn the lessons that we need to learn. And what that did for me is that moved me from this space of I'm hurt, you hurt me, I'm in pain, to I get to love you. And that just changed the game for me. And I just want to offer that as like another perspective for some of the people that, might also be moving through this, where I don't, you may not be spiritual, or you may, what even is spiritual anymore? Who knows? But you may or may not be spiritual. But if you believe that we are these souls that, get to make some of these decisions before we come here and experience this incredible human life, then I offer you this different perspective, because that could be the truth if you want it to be the truth.
Well, we don't have anything else to talk about here. I think we'll end on that note. I love that.
That's it.
Okay, so where can people learn more about you and the work that you do?
Oh my goodness, that was fun. Where do you find me? So honestly, you can, like, my main place that I am on is through my Facebook. So Alexandria Eleta Minor on Facebook. I've just started coming back online through Instagram, which is Alexandria Eleta Minor as well. I had deleted my Instagram when I had moved through that smear campaign, and that was like really intense as well, after working so hard and, but I am back on there now, which feels really good. And those are the two places that you can find me. I would love for you, if you want to chat, if you want to hear another perspective, if you're interested at all in knowing more about my story, I would love for you to just reach out. I really, really value conversations like this, because I think these are the conversations that change things, and yes, it is a conversation and it is cerebral, but also I feel like we're moving energy, not just for us, but for other people. And connection is something that, to me, is so, so important. And I know you spoke on this on your live today. Like, there's women helping women entrepreneurs, and you can go in and you can get like 500 leads. And like, I've done the same thing. I've gone like 600 leads, and it's like, okay. And then you have to reach out to each of the people. And, this is what we were taught, but it's like, we're really missing this genuine, like, connection of, I care about you. I want to know your story. And I care about me, and I want you to know my story, and I care about the story that we're creating together. So I would love for you to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you if anything that I'm saying resonates with you, and not to sell you, but to get to know you.
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation, and we'll continue to dance on Facebook. And I just want to remind those who are watching, if you would like to share your story here, send me a message. We'll get you on. If you'd like to share your story in our next book, we can make that happen as well. Your story is a key part to connection. And as you said, Alexandria, this is what people are really craving and starving for. So if you have the opportunity today, whether it's the lady at the grocery store or on your social media or just eye to eye with your kids, let somebody learn something about you today. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.